people. Power to the enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
We're here to celebrate Juneteenth. So Juneteenth, also known as the Independence Day. So it was in June 19th, 1865, where the announcement of the abolishment of slavery was announced. And today we're here because although slavery was abolished technically at that point in time, we as black people in this country have not received all of our freedoms, and we still continue to fight for those. This is America, where black people face systematic discrimination on a constant basis in nearly every walk of life. Black people face bias, face discrimination, and we're forced to deal with it as a part of our normal life. Just take a minute and think about that. Our normal life, we have to deal with discrimination anywhere we go. We face discrimination when we go to Starbucks, when we have a business meeting at Starbucks. We face discrimination when we organize a friendly barbecue with our family and our friends. We face discrimination when we're at the front doorsteps of our house just trying to get into our home. We face it every day. We face it when the school systems apply harsher consequences to us and compared to our white counterparts. And that continues later in life in the criminal justice system. We face discrimination when we're applying to schools, colleges, and again, we get that same application of discrimination later in life when we are applying to rent a home or buy a home or apply for a job. This is constant. When we may tell ourselves, you know what? We're lucky, we're in San Francisco. We don't have to think about it. That's not a fact. There's two specific statistics that I want to touch on. One, in the last 30 years in San Francisco, what has happened to the black population? The black population has been cut more than in half to where we make up roughly 4 to 5% of the city, where at one point we're thriving at 12% of the city. And also in regards to San Francisco, we have the highest disparity of unemployment towards African Americans in the entire country. Yeah. Amen. As where the regular San Franciscan, any San Franciscan, has about an 83% chance for employment. If you look at the African American population, it's at 53%. So we have to sit and think about that for a second. So we are here today as SEIU1021, as community with leaders of the city and county of San Francisco. And we're also bringing up another issue. That other issue is that here in San Francisco, our workers, our workforce, also faces discrimination. Discrimination on a constant and varied basis, whether it be in regards to disciplines, whether it be in regards to harshness of disciplines, whether it be in regards to hiring, recruitment. We still face these systemic discrimination that takes place that is not unique in this country. It also happens right here in the city that we love, San Francisco. So what we are doing today is we're demanding of the city and county of San Francisco that we no longer be complicit in regards to this systemic discrimination. We demand that it stops today. Yes. So we have a number of leaders from SEIU 1021 who are going to share their experiences, their stories. And first up, we have Felicia Jones, who is a SEIU 1021 member, shop steward, community activist, community leader. Felicia Jones.
Thank you, Joseph, and thank you all for coming. I just want to reiterate that Juneteenth is special to Black people all over this nation. And it was at January 1, 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. It wasn't until 1865 that the state of Texas, that slaves were still enslaved for 2.5 years around economical reasons, that they weren't told that they were free. And as Black people, on June 19th, we celebrate. We celebrate with our families, we celebrate with prayer, we celebrate with our freedom. But the sad thing is, in the city and county of San Francisco, known as the Golden City by the Bay, is very racist. That they have an unholy alliance with racism, discrimination, and it has to stop. SEIU1021 Black workers and the rest of our workers, we are demanding that it stop. We're demanding, we the Black workers of public service here in the city and county of San Francisco, SEIU members, we want freedom from retaliation, hostile working conditions. We want freedom from being traumatized. We want freedom from being stressed out. We want freedom from being harassed. We want freedom from being targeted. We want freedom not to be the first fired and the last hired. We want freedom stopping longer probation periods. We want freedom from being oppressed, being marginalized on our jobs. We want freedom of being suspects. We want freedom to be allowed to do our jobs. No matter how much expertise that we have, no matter how many degrees that we have behind our name. In the city and county of San Francisco, these city departments, they do not recognize our expertise. And we're saying that we are experts too. We want freedom from racism. We want freedom from discrimination. We want freedom from bullying. We want freedom to be equal in our job sites. I tell you, we want freedom. We want to be treated with equality. We want to be treated with inequity. We want to be treated fairly. And we say, enough is enough.
Amen.
We are putting the city and county, the department heads, on notice that the racism, discrimination, the targeting, the bullying, the ability to try to put us in crosses, to get rid of us, to blackball us, we want it to stop.
Amen.
We want it to stop now. And we expect that every board of supervisor that sits on the board of supervisor and our newly elected mayor,
Amen.
London Breed, that she helped Black workers of SEIU to say enough is enough. Say it with me.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Enough.
My name is Felicia Jones. I work with San Francisco Sheriff's Department. And I'm sending this out to Vicki Hennessy, the sheriff, that I want to be left alone. Let me do my job without retaliation, without bullying, without blackballing me. Let me be the expert that you have hired me to be. Power to the people.
And also community leader and activist, Brenda Barros.
Hey. Hello, everybody. I'm the angry wing of 1021. I'm the person that's had it up to here. Nobody gets a pass from this day on. We are not giving anybody a pass. So I'm saying to the Director of Public Health, Barbara Garcia, I know some things are being done at San Francisco General, but it's too slow. And in the meantime, many of our workers are suffering. As the chapter president, people are coming up to me every day. It's never been this bad. I've been with the city 38 years, and it's never been worse as it is today. And that has to change. So as Felicia said, all the things that happen to people not understanding our culture, people treating us as if we don't have a culture, when we do. Our cultural things that we do, the way we speak, the music we like and all that seems to be so offensive to people that people are being disciplined for being black. And that has to stop. There's no real reason for people to be treating us the way that they're treating us. I know myself, I work really hard and have worked really hard for 38 years. Nobody can talk about my performance on my job. The only thing they can talk about is my black tendencies. And that's the only thing that people comment on is my black tendencies. And I'm unapologetically black.
That's right, that's right.
And I am not going to change. They are not going to change me. We are all going to be black forever. And they better start to understand that. And they better start to learn about our culture. And they better start to respect us as people. Because right now, majority of the people that I know work for the city that are black do not feel respected. And honestly, many of the Hispanics I know that work for the city feel the same way. We have to stop this now. We have to change the laws, if that's what we have to put in. Because talking to these people has not worked. We need laws that will hold them accountable for their action. They have to be accountable. Right now, there's no accountability. People can abuse people. People can make racist statements to people. People can behave in a racist manner. And all they say is, one time somebody said to me, believe it or not, well, Brenda, listening to a joke where somebody used the word nigger, standing in the hallway of where I work, because he wanted to be a rapper or something, that seemed to be okay. And for them to tell me, well, maybe you're a little thin-skinned. He didn't really mean it that way. That's what we're dealing with here. It's that deep. And it has to stop. And we need to make sure that everybody's on board. I'm glad, I worked hard to get London Breed elected mayor. But I just want to send a message to London, too, that you can't forget about the black folks. What's happened in the past is a lot of things get dealt with, but then the black folks still keep suffering. We're still put out of the neighborhood. I want to live in San Francisco again.
Amen.
I can't right now. When I went to buy a house in the Bayview, I couldn't get a loan in the Bayview. But I could easily get a loan in Antioch, Concord, Walnut Creek, all those other places. For some reason, they don't want black people in the Bayview anymore. And that needs to change. So I hope that the supervisor supporting us is wonderful, but we need to see real action and real legislation to deal with the accountability of everyone in every department. And nobody should be exempt. And if you have department heads that don't want to change, that want to keep persisting in these racist policies, they need to go. They need to go. So they need to get on board with us and help make San Francisco a better city or get the hell out the way.
Thank you, Brenda. So our next speaker is also a member of SEIU1021. She's a shop steward and also a delegate on a few of our bodies. Please welcome Cheryl Thornton.
Hi, Cheryl.
Dear citizens of San Francisco, my name is Cheryl Thornton, and I have served the beautiful Potrero Hill community for 20 plus years. For 20 plus years, I have gladly and proudly worked with the residents at the Potrero Hill Health Center. Although I never lived in this community, I always felt that I was a part of the community. I've supported patients in navigating the oftentimes challenging healthcare system, and I've supported youth in navigating educational opportunities for their future. In many ways, I've been a dedicated contributor and an advocate for a marginalized public housing community. I recently was a whistleblower for the city and county of San Francisco, and after eventually being unlawfully demoted and stripped of my supervisorial and managerial duties, I came to the realization that my work rights were violated. On March 6 of 1857, the Supreme Court ruled the infamous Dred Scott decision, which ruled that African Americans were not citizens and therefore could not enjoy the same civil liberties as other white citizens. Today, I hardly see much difference. The Fifth Amendment clearly states no one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. When my duties were unlawfully stripped from me, my due process was violated. As an African American worker, I am entitled to the same due process as any other worker in the city and county of San Francisco.
That's right, yeah.
The harassment, bullying, and blatant terror that I have experienced as a result of being a Black female whistleblower is a reflection of the systemic racism in San Francisco. As Martin Luther King once said, discrimination is a hellbound that gnaws at Negroes in every waking moment of their lives. To remind them the lie of their inferiority is accepted as truth in this society dominating them. We need change, and we need it now!
Right.
Our next speaker needs no introduction. He is the pastor of Third Baptist Church in San Francisco and also the president of the NAACP San Francisco branch. Please welcome Reverend Amos Brown.
All right.
Thank you, Brother Bryant, to Ms. Felicia Jones, our members of the Board of Supervisors, to all of you who are gathered. I'm a Baptist preacher, and Baptist preachers are tempted when they see a crowd
Oh, go ahead, Reverend Brown.
to take a text and to preach. What I say to you this afternoon, this is no time for rhetoric.
Yes, yes. Right. That's right.
This is a time for results.
Yes. Right.
This is no time for investigations
Yes.
and analysis.
Yes.
This is a time for action.
Yes. Yes.
San Francisco and all of its leadership should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
We have lived a lie far too long
Yes.
that we are supposedly a liberal progressive town.
Yes.
I have been in this town now going on 43 years. And I pretty much know what's been going down in this town. You've had situations in which one group has pitted one group against the other.
Yes.
Now's the time for us to see, as John Donne said, no man or woman is an island unto himself or herself. Never send to ask for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. We need to realize that if black folks are discriminated in this town, the black, the brown, and the red, and the white need to see in their own sight that they have a responsibility to stand up and to speak out.
Amen.
And not squeal,
Yes.
not squeal like a pig at hog killing time.
Yes.
When somebody gives you a nasty look, when somebody tells you you are not equal or you're not measuring up, it's time that we really be family, be inclusive,
Yes.
and make sure that if a black person suffers, we all suffer in this town.
Amen.
All of us should be coming to the rescue. When a black boy or black girl is beaten by a policeman,
Yes.
all of us should come to the rescue. When a black child does not get respect in the schoolhouse, all of us should come to the rescue. When a black person can't get a house to live in this town, all of us should come to the rescue and file a suit against San Francisco for the redevelopment agency that dumped black people out. We didn't leave because we didn't have the money. It was a scheme designed by immigration, designed by the public policy makers, and it's time that we say we are guilty. We are going to confess our sins and show some fruits of repentance and stop talking about the talk, but start walking the walk until there is justice in the city and county of San Francisco. So NACP is with this union. We're going to stand with you. And if we need to go to Baltimore and get lawyers to come and sue San Francisco, we will do it. So the old man is not finished yet. I had a stroke the other day. But though my mobility was compromised a little bit, but my mind was spared by God to speak truth to power. Though my mobility was compromised, my mouth can speak and talk, and I'm going to talk until talking days end and say, San Francisco, stop being a fake and a fraud and be real. And make sure that the day will come when all of us be able to say, I'm black and I'm proud. I'm brown and I'm sound. I'm yellow and I'm mellow. I'm red but I ain't dead. I'm white and I'm all right. I'm gay but I'm godly. I'm straight but I'm sensible. I am God's child. And I will be respected, and then only then will San Francisco be the city of St. Francis, where we sow justice, where we sow peace, where we sow love, where we sow inclusion, and where we sow opportunity for all of God's children. It's time to stop the rhetoric and get to the results and make it real right now.
Somebody. 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 All right. All right, our next speaker is going to say a couple remarks. Please welcome my brother Dante King.
Thank you. So, I was asked to speak today, and somewhat at a loss for words. And the reason that I say that is because I just think in recent times we've become very sophisticated about masking racism and what it looks like. It's very nuanced, and we play it off by niceties. As long as we develop fond regard or we're able to smile at each other or eat together, everything is okay. But it goes so much deeper than that, and it extends far beyond whether I like someone. We have to realize that racism runs deep. It's the way that we're socialized. Racial constructs were created to keep people apart by race, dating all the way back over 300 years ago. I've located a lot of research that talks about this. And everything that developed from it became based on, it's not just color, right? But it's shared experiences that we have due to the communities that we belong to. It could be the way that we speak in a certain dialect, voice inflections, certain things that we're more comfortable with expressing to certain groups versus others. It's our hair texture. It's how we size people up. It's so nuanced. It's so complex, right? And one of the things that we do to ourselves that started maybe 40, 50 years ago is that we were no longer loud about it. At one point, it was very explicit, pronounced. We could say nasty and vulgar things, and it was socially acceptable, but we got quiet about it. And we started pretending, our parents, that it didn't exist anymore, things were better. It didn't. The other thing that I'll say is that I believe that not only the government, and it's not just left up to white people, because there's white, there's Asian, there's all different types of people that participate in our governmental systems and in leadership positions throughout organizational hierarchies. What we need to give voice to every day is that we exist in a country that for over 300 years advanced white people explicitly through laws and policies that define them into society economically, politically, and we need to also talk about the psychological, emotional impacts that had for each group, because it's not only the harm, but the favorability and the advantages that it gave to white people in terms of how they walk through the world. There's a certain symbolic freedom, there's a certain confidence that I will never know as a black gay man. And as long as we do not keep those conversations on the table daily, we're going to do ourselves a disservice, and the people that need to be held accountable, we're going to do them a disservice as well. But I will also say this, I know that as a person of color and as a gay person of color, that comes at a risk. And so I say this to all the well-meaning, well-intentioned white people who mean really well and are willing to compromise themselves and put their reputations on the line. We need you to stand with us in the most vocal and pronounced way possible, because we can't do it by ourselves. We definitely need to build alliances, and we need to do it not in a way where we are hostile towards each other, but we need to do it in love. And we need to do it in a respectful way in terms of our regard for humanity. And so I say to everyone out here, again, whenever someone tells you about equity and all of that stuff, tell them, say, for over 300 years, we advanced. The laws were specifically, they explicitly excluded blacks, Chinese, Japanese, but particularly black people. African American people are the creation of white people. They brought Africans here, they had non-consensual sex, very few consensual encounters, and they created the African American. They have created, controlled, sustained, and maintained our entire existence since the beginning of our origins. I often tell black people, we don't really know what it means to be black, because we've never been black on our own terms. We've always been black through a white racial frame. And so we need to begin to define blackness for ourselves. We need to develop a confidence where we're able to hold not only white people accountable, but those of us who are black that have internalized whiteness. And we have compromised our integrity and our personhood.
All right now.
I want you to hear me. This goes a lot deeper than skin color or hair texture. This is a commitment of the heart. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so our next speaker, one of our allies and strong supporters, supervisor from District 1. Please welcome Sandy Fewer.
Hi, I'm Sandra Fewer. I'm the supervisor at District 1.
Hi, my name is Hillary Ronan. I'm a supervisor from District 9.
And my name is Jane Kim, and I represent District 6.
So we stand in solidarity with our black workforce here and also our black population in San Francisco. And I think we've heard from speakers today, but we want you to know that we recognize too, San Francisco is inherently racist. And how do we know that? Because the outcomes of our policies have been racist. When I ask about housing policies and I say, well, how will this affect the African American families? I get this. This is not for them. When I ask about giving me the data on how black families are faring in San Francisco, so we don't collect a lot of that data. And then when I enter here time after time at the Board of Supervisors about black workers in our own city government, feeling they have been discriminated against, I hear, oh really? And so you're absolutely right, this is the time. Now I'm gonna hand it over to Hillary Ronan.
Yes, I wanted to start out by thanking SEIU1021, my former union, for always standing up on the really difficult and the critical issues of our time, not hiding behind niceties, but calling out discrimination and racism against black people wherever it is. I'm really proud of this union. I also just wanted to shout out and affirm and repeat what Dante just told us. I am a white woman who grew up in this country, and me and my family get daily privileges.
That's right.
Just because of the color of our skin. The same discrimination and racism and exclusion that black and brown people experience in this city every day, I get the benefit of the privileges on that opposite side.
Yes.
And so thank you, Dante, for bringing up that point. You are absolutely right. And I will stand here for the rest of my days in solidarity with you, fighting the racist system upon which this nation was founded, and that we have to dismantle in every institution in the United States of America and in San Francisco.
And so I also want to recognize and thank SEIU 1021 for asking us to hold this hearing at the Government Audit and Oversight Committee, and to my colleagues who are co-sponsoring the hearing, Supervisor Fewer and Ronan, for your support. I stand here as an elected official and as an Asian American woman. I am a beneficiary of our civil rights movement. I'm a beneficiary of our Black Power movement. I'm a beneficiary of our women's movement, and many of the laws that intersect around civil rights and immigration came through a connected movement together, not just here in this country, but throughout our globe. And it is so important for us to stand together because, as was said before by previous speakers, if any one of us is being discriminated against, it hurts all of us. And so if our black colleagues are being discriminated against in hiring and promotion, that hurts all of us. None of us benefit when certain people are being held down. And while some of this information today seems anecdotal, it's important for the city to have a hearing, to collect the data, to collect the stories, and make the systematic changes. Because we know here in the system, in San Francisco, we have lost our African American community, which used to make up close to 15% of our city's population and has now declined to below 6%. And we can connect it all to class and to poverty, but then why is this disproportionately impacting our African American and black community? And what can the city do as one of the largest employers of our workers to do to rectify this inequity around hiring and promotion, as we know that labor is such a huge part of this system. So I look forward to hearing this in the month of July. I want to again thank SEIU, our African American Caucus, Black Caucus, Joseph Bryant, for working with our office to bring this hearing to us, and I look forward to seeing you all back in July for the hearing and to come speak at public testimony. Thank you very much. Mr. Bryant.
If I could just mention one last thing, and this is about social justice, but it's really about economic justice. There is no social justice without economic justice. So when people say to me, and I push back and say, in this self-proclaimed most progressive city in the United States, and you have a black population lower than 5%, what does that say about your progressive values? When you have banks that will not give loans to black people to start their own businesses and be economically independent, then we have an issue here, and we have it here in San Francisco, when the average black family makes $29,000 in this city, where it is impossible for one person to support themselves on $29,000.
That's right.
And and make 50% of the jail people who are incarcerated, then we have a problem. And it is really about the economic justice, and this is why it is so related to our workforce. And it's about who has a seat at the table, who has access to these jobs. When are we going to say no to the 1%ers?
Yes.
When are we going to say we are sick of a handout?
Yes.
And let's stand up for the economic justice that every one of us deserves.
Yes.
We know that the dominant culture here in the United States and in San Francisco is not of people of color. We can change that, but again, we have to be united. And I just want to say that I am really proud today of SEIU coming out, standing up once again, not only for the workers of San Francisco, but standing up for the values of San Francisco and what we should do. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, supervisors. So we have 2 more speakers up. Brother, you want to say 20 seconds?
20 seconds.
Hi. I have to kind of be careful what I say right now because we have a lot of things going on with and what. Okay, I said I have to be a little careful what I say because there's a lot of things going on with what I've experienced. My name is Kirk Giles, but you guys will hear my name again. Okay? Can't tell you much about it now. Thank you for your time.
All right. Oh. Our next speaker is a community leader and continues to fight on for the behalf of the African American community in San Francisco. Roxy Harris.
Yes, Ms. Roxy, yes. I want to say thank you so much for coming out here today to fight with us. And justice definitely has been done. I've been here in San Francisco over 50 years, 60 years, and been in the community of Potrero Hill. My mother was one of the founders that helped get the clinics, satellite clinics started. I'm looking at how the change of the health system has changed. We said we're fighting together. We have to fight together for all the righteousness for all the people in San Francisco. We have Pride Week, we have Cinco de Mayo Week, we have all these things that represent what happened to the black community, what happened to our rights. My grandfather was one of those, and grandmother worked in the shipyards. Now they got shipped out because they didn't have no more work for them. But we have, our ancestors was the one that washed the windows, that swept the streets, that cleaned the schools up, that was the janitors, and now we're finished with the jobs that you wanted us to do, you didn't put us out. But now, as far as our children go, you're not educating our children. You're keeping them from getting the education. You're keeping them from getting the health system that they're supposed to have. You're taking away everything that they need as a family to strive. You're putting them out of their home. Then they have here on the tents, you're putting them out of their tents. You're taking them, and we're suffering with mental health all over the place because you're putting people, and that means people of all colors, you're putting them out. They help build this city. You don't, all of a sudden it's like saying, okay, thank you. Now you set my table, you may go away because I'm going to eat. It's not okay. We have to start pulling together. We have always been known to be quiet. As people of color, we have always forgiven. Forgiven everything that you have done to our race. There's no more forgiving. We need to be able to stand our rights too. Like she said, 29,000. What can you do with 29,000? Right. It's a handout. Right. It's a handout. But the same person that's working in the same position in me is getting 160,000. Yes, what's wrong with this picture? Yes. We need fairness. We have people that have been working forever in their job, and you're putting them out because your work is done now. It's not all right. We have to make a change. We have to pull together. We have to have justice. We have to have it now. We have to have it now. That's right. I'm almost 71 years old. I've been working for the city all my life since I was 9 years old. Time needs to be changed. I want to be able to see some kind of change. I want to see some kind of change to where San Francisco is the golden city by the bay. All right, thank you. We can't stop. We won't stop until justice rains down on our community. We can't stop. We won't stop until justice rains down on our community.
All right. If you are ready to end systemic discrimination, make some noise. If you are ready to fight against racial bias, make some noise. So folks, again, if you are ready to fight against implicit and explicit bias, make some noise. All right, so this is not the end. This is the beginning. And we're going to need to see all the faces who are here today in that hearing come July. Once that date is announced, we'll make sure to blast it to this entire city of San Francisco. In closing of this, please welcome our Vice President of Representation, Teresa Rutherford.
What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. Bob Marley said, and he was not the original writer of this, but he said, until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited, there will be war. And that is going to continue to happen. We're going to continue to fight because we cannot and must not continue to believe the misnomer that one group of people is superior to the other because of the color of their skin. Let me just remind you, everyone here has said everything, so I won't hold you long. I will just remind you, racism is in every part of this city. The medical examiner's office, it is rife. People are being hurt in that department, and you need to pay attention to that, no matter how nice everybody sounds when they give public statements. It's at San Francisco General Hospital. It's at Laguna Honda Hospital. It's at all city departments. So just be aware. It's at the jails. Okay? We have a minute amount of nurses taking care of thousands of people. The police department. When San Francisco can look and see someone get shot in the back, the police shoot someone, and it is fine, and they walk away, and nothing is done, we know we have a problem. Yes, and that's because we think one group is better than the other. As we said, let's not normalize racism. Let's not accept that a black child is less valuable than a white child, because we're fooling ourselves. Because when we treat it, as we said in union, an injury to one is an injury to all. So let's remember, let's work together, black, white, brown, Chinese, because we all need each other. Let's come together and fight this, because we're fighting for the betterment of our future, for the betterment of our lives. Okay? So let's do it.
And so we want to, again, thank you for coming. Make sure if you have a card, a business card, or if you want to come and if you want to give us your name and email, so when the hearing comes, that you all stand with us, because we want to just pack the hearing, because this is a serious issue. And we are speaking today for the few workers, but we want you to speak also, sister, everybody, sister, brother. We want you. We welcome you. And so as symbolically, we have chains. These are the chains of our ancestors that were over 400 years, shadow chains. And today, we make a promise. SEIU1021, Black Workers, says enough is enough. 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 As we break the chains of slavery, because Juneteenth says that in the United States of America, we are all free, and we want the same equalities, the same freedoms of anyone else in the city of San Francisco.
Evelyn Coriel. I'm also the San Francisco Union representative and also e-board member. And the reason why we're here to stop all those discrimination, bullying, harassment, ignorance, and being called as incompetent, as I was by my co-workers and my other peers. So this one, it will, hopefully with this new mayor, we can come up with a clean start to stop all of this, and hopefully stop stressing all of us. Just do the job. Because if it's not, we're going to be in back.
And is there a lot of stress on the job as a result of these policies? How has that affected you and other people?
Okay, it's affecting us because, for instance, we're short, and the management is telling us to do more work. Work is not going to be done the way it's supposed to be. And then the payment too is not right. So we have to make sure we get, paid right. And we're here, and we've been, acknowledged the work we do.
And Micki Callahan, who's head of the Department of Human Resources, is she aware of what's going on, the charges of systemic racism? You think she knows about it?
She does. Hopefully she does.
You think she knows about it?
Hopefully she does, because I don't even have no clue if she does. But anything that's in a part of the podium, she's supposed to know all of this. And she's supposed to be aware, because she's been going with our union bargaining. And this is part of it.
So she knows about it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm Roxy Blue Harris, and I'm a member of the PAC Committee on Potrero Hill Health Clinic. And my mother was one of the founders that helped get the satellite clinic started.
And why are you here today on Juneteenth?
I'm here on Juneteenth basically to help support all of those that are being discriminated against, and the rights so everybody have equal rights.
And your center has come under some attack, the removal of Cheryl Thornton. What's going on there?
They removed her. They have not replaced her, and with it's just been a downhill at the clinic. There's a lot of discrepancies going on, and a lot of anxiety going on, and there's also in the neighborhood a lot of people are being moved out. So they don't have her because she was a big advocate in our community. They don't have her to go and talk with anymore. And she worked in the community besides at the clinic.
So you're talking about gentrification. Who's being kicked out of their homes in Potrero Hill?
Right now, we just found out Friday that there was a notice of 30 more people that just got evicted.
30 more families?
30 more families just was evicted last week. Yeah.
Where are they going to go?
I have no idea. And and when you're being evicted, they don't care where you go. But it's not just them, it's just all over the city. People are being moved from their homes, and they're talking about a health situation. Well, that's a lot of anxiety and stress, and they're separating these families, and it's just really, the situation is like they don't care no more,
And I mean, do you think that they want to build $1 million condos out there in Potrero Hill?
Yes, I do. But no, they say affordable housing. What is affordable housing? Those that can afford it. What about low-income housing? The ones that have a low income and that need to help keep their families here. And they're moving out of the cities because they don't have no place to go. Or either they're on the streets. They're the ones that have the tents that they don't want around anymore. And so where do this stop?
Now, who runs that housing? Is that John Stewart? What company is running that? Is the city running this public housing?
I don't want to say so because I really don't know. And I've just been so involved with the medical part that I don't really know on the housing part. So I've been basically just working with what is happening with the people that are going through the clinics, are not being able to go to the clinic, not being able to get health. That's who I'm worried about, because all these people that are getting kicked out of their home, that means they lose their doctors, they lose where they are established with ground roots and stuff, and that just stresses them out that much more.
And the new mayor is going to be coming in, London Breed. Are you going to be calling on her to return Cheryl Thornton to the Potrero Hill Neighborhood Health Center?
Yes, I am. The PAC committee, we're working on doing that there. We're going to speak with her. We have been bringing it to the Board of Supervisors for some time now, since all this is happening. So we hopefully that this here will be overturned and they bring her back. Or you give justification, real justification of why you dismiss her. And when you say that she's not fit for the clinic, she's been there for over 20-some years, so why now is she not fit for the clinic? So it's really an ugly situation. Not just for Cheryl, but it's for the neighborhood. It's for the clinic, for what's happening with public health right now.
Okay, thank you. And Barbara Garcia, has she responded to you?
No, she was supposed to have a couple of meetings with us, and she sent her people to come to the meeting. But she got the meeting together. She said she didn't want to have a big meeting, pick a committee. We picked the committee. We came to the meeting. She have not came to either meeting. So hopefully this is supposed to be the third meeting that she will come and address the situation with us personally.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.